Good night to the Honorable Minister. Good night, Marcia, and to the people of Barbados. In listening to what the minister said,
The
I
former
grasped
minister.
former minister, but once a minister, always a minister. But anyways, thank you for the correction. Um, for me, I understood what he said pertaining to the aspect of persons or the ministers or the government having to disclose how much they spend. That is very important because at the end of the day, it is the public's money, and we don't want to have a situation whereby certain activities occurred that may not align with the interests of the public. For me, something that I will take home from what you said is that the transition between ministers to ministers, I think that's something that can be or should be implemented in the future, for the future generations. I thought it already occurred, but that's what I grasp in terms of a synopsis of it.
Instead of a managed migration. Go right ahead, Theory.
Um, from the perspective of foreign students, I think they will love it because it gives them opportunity to stay in the country longer. They love to be here, potentially have some jobs, maybe in the sectors that they could, could possibly work. But the thing about it, then guess what? It creates this competition between locals and foreigners. So how can we then manage that? That's the question that I would ask the government. I would suggest understanding what are the critical jobs to locals, what are the job. Not saying that we should give persons from other countries lesser jobs. I'm just saying what are the critical jobs to us that we know that we want to safeguard for our people, and then look at those jobs that we can necessarily share the load and get the bounty as well. So that's my perspective on it. Pertaining to how it benefits us as locals, and this is the locals and the Barbadians going outside. I think it's a wonderful idea. I just hoped that the ferry system that they were talking about, I mean, the company right now, would have came off, but it didn't. So I just wanted to say that pertaining to the aspects of travel. I hope that at some point we get that achieved. But I believe, if we're speaking about the Caribbean single market economy, this is a part of it. This is a part of the transition. But as you said before, it's managing it, making sure that it's done properly. Something that is, it was popular. It was a trend. A lot of Nigerians, they were making videos telling other Nigerians and other Ghanaians, oh, if you go to Barbados and you have a kid, you basically automatically get a passport. And they were encouraging persons to come to Barbados. They said the Prime Minister of Barbados, and they called her name, Honorable Mia Motley. She wants you to come to Barbados and help to raise the population, etc. So I literally saw that as a trend all over the place. So the question is then how do we manage that population? How do we manage the competition for jobs? Right? In the digital space, that's not really a problem, but there's certain job sectors that I consider to be critical that persons, and I say persons, I mean Barbadians, depend on. Most persons work in those fields, and y'all can identify those. But for me, you just have to identify what is critical to Barbadians. What like, for example, is like, um, I'm an electrician, and that's all I know. Right, that's all I train. But then, if you come and bring 50 other electricians that are from somewhere else, then you place me at a disadvantage. Right. So we have to look at that. They believe the government should analyze that, and that's pretty much it. Yes, but not very much. Um, there are persons who want to stay here, Janine, myself, you know, other persons who necessarily want to build in our country, but the question is how do we survive? Then there are persons who, have that urge to go other places, and the popular places will be America, England, etc. That Janine mentioned. Then there are persons who, um, this may upset a lot of persons, but they don't want the rest of the islands. They may say, I don't want to go there, you know. Guyana or the rest of the Caribbean. It is like they're from Barbados. There's some persons are very snobby, That's why other persons from other islands may perceive Bajans to be that way because they are Bajans that are like that because they may say, I don't want to work there. I'm from Barbados or I'm not going there. What's there for me, right? So those are the three aspects. So at the end of the day, it's not just a straightforward answer pertaining to, yes, they're patriots and they're persons who are more expansive, but then there's individuals who are just snobby and don't want to, go to any other place that is not one of the uppity islands or one of the uppity countries.
Do you think it's those things, Theory? You're shaking your head, no?
Well, I don't think it's. I think it's usually common Bayesian term brought up. See, if you're in your neighborhood and there are persons who are very xenophobic, they say, well, Guyanese this or Trinidad this, etc. And St. Vincent is not as rich as Barbados and etc. So you could go on the different common by terms that they say about the rest of the islands. So there are persons actually saying these things in our neighborhoods. And you grew up hearing these things, then you look down on the rest of the islands, right? You look down on the other places, right? And there's actual persons who, believe these things to be true, right? They have their misconceptions of the rest of the Caribbean, and that's just how it is. But that doesn't include, as I said, the patriots who wants to stay here or the persons who want to get better opportunities. So for me, it's those three categories. But in terms of health, or because they have to come here to get a hospital care, or because of passport, no, it's based on conversations in neighborhoods. I don't want to mention the kind of things that are said, but that's basically it.
Putting it on the ballot. Your thoughts on that?
I am in agreement with the minister. Marcia, I am a strong believer in referendum power. So I believe there's a lot of decisions that should be left up to the people, but I also agree with the minister in terms of the fear, because it's like this: you as a leader, you make decisions thinking that okay, well, it's the best decision. But the beautiful thing about it is that if you can listen to the people, right, and respect the people's decision, then you do what they want. They become what? More infatuated with you. So a lot of governments go the other route, believing that they need to be a parental, overseer, etc., etc. You can go to the different O's and the omnipotent, etc., etc. But the right thing to do is always listen to the people, because when you listen to the people, then the people are gonna love you. They're gonna do whatever you want. But when you don't do that, then you end up in high water. So I agree with the minister. Most governments across the world are very afraid pertaining to, you know, giving the people the power, right? But when you do it, you see it with trying to call a country right now. Norway started to do it in early 2000s. That was with Canada Prime Minister right now. Angela Merkel started to do it with education for sure. Because I remember she gave a speech. Her speech was towards the minister. He said, "Well, who made you who you are today?" And she said, "Well, the teachers. So therefore, the teachers should be paid the most." So I can give a plethora of examples. So when governments actually listen to people, the people love them and they vote for them over and over again. But when they don't and they want to play that they are the overlords, they lose power. So I agree with the minister.
Go ahead. You had your hand up there.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what the foreign minister said. Another example is the CARICOM warrant. How long have we been discussing that, right? So when we look at these things, it's very important to understand that we have these conversations, but then is it that the persons in our countries or the people of our country want what the government or governments are offering? Another example is the cybercrime bill. Another example is the wiretapping bill, and we can go on and on about that. So as I said before, Marseille, I said it on the other show. I've been saying it with the community governance. I've been saying it pertaining to how I believe the presidency should be structured. I don't like how my country is so ingrained in the Westminster system. I believe it's time to change that. And the only way for us to get change is for us to have some sort of referendum when it's necessary. That's just my perspective. I believe the Westminster system is failing, and I should already say, has failed black people, and that's my perspective on it. So